Hi, it's Ellie from the Radiant Forum. Thank you for joining me today. Today, we've got another really challenging sequence that is pretty much going to open up every major muscle group in our bodies. Um, this is going to require a lot of bending and balancing. So, you may want to have a chair or a wall available to, to help lean up against. You also might want a strap and some blocks today. We will be moving toward dancer pose, which is a really challenging and fun balancing pose. So today we are focusing on our foundation and on rooting to rise to meet challenges with confidence and grace. And that takes practice. And remember that falling is always great because that just gives us another chance to practice getting up again. So with that in mind, we're going to be practicing today a mindfulness technique called HOT, where we're having an experience and observing what's going on and then taking it all in. So during the practice today, I invite you with me to just really be in the moment and have that experience in your body, in your breath, in your mind, and observe what's going on. So we're going to be observers of our practice as opposed to critics. So just experiencing it and allowing what's happening. And then, of course, during our Shavasana, that's when we'll really take it all in, let it come into our bodies and relax with it. So with that, I invite you to bring your hands to heart center and take a moment, feeling your heart beating, feeling all points of contact with the mat, feeling the weight of your body and the ground rising up to meet you. And then, as always, you are welcome to bring your own intention or join me with mine, which is I meet challenges with confidence and grace. I move with confidence and grace. Go ahead, open the eyes, and we'll release the hands to the ground next to us. So we're in a cross-legged position, an easy seat. And I'm going to tent my fingers on the ground and begin to feel my spine lengthening up out through the crown of my head. So really drawing in through the belly, beginning to awaken that breath, moving it up and down the central channel. So my head is over my heart is over my pelvis, a strong line of energy. Feel all 10 fingertips pressing into the ground, maybe even drawing up through the pelvic floor and lifting a little bit out of the seat. Begin to roll the shoulders back and down, opening wide through the collarbones. Great, and then we'll take a few seated cat and cows. So hands to the knees, make sure that our sit bones are really grounded down, move the glutes away. And inhale, draw the chest forward, heart open, lifting the chin slightly. Exhale, drawing into the navel, squeezing the belly button back, squeezing the upper back round. Inhale, heart forward, wide collarbones. Press the heart through. And exhale, moving back, squeezing everything back, stretching through the upper back, tucking the chin. Inhaling forward. Gaze up, exhale, drawing everything in. Twice more just like this with your own breath. Inhaling forward, shoulder blades sink back down the back body, and exhaling, rounding the spine. I don't remember if we did one or two more, so give yourself an extra one here. And then coming back to neutral spine, we'll just take a little easy side stretch. So taking the right hand off to the right, leaning out over that hand, trying to keep that left sit bone grounded, keep that hip down on the ground. Move with the invitation of the body. So if your elbow comes down, great. If not, just be where you are today. I promise we will get warmer and more open through the practice. Inhaling back to center, and exhale, left hand to the ground, right hip grounds down, right hand stretching out, long side body here. maybe looking up, inhaling back to center. And we'll take the hands behind us, fingertips facing your glutes, and just roll the shoulders back and open the chest. So press open, straightening the arms. And maybe for one breath, lift the hips up, stretching them forward, waking up the glutes and the hamstrings and the hip flexors, and exhale, coming back down, and we'll just fold forward over those crossed legs. Hands in front, coming to the elbows, or the hands are maybe a block. Just let the head be heavy. Maybe shake it out a little bit, side to side. Feel those hips begin to stretch, your lower back a little bit. And inhaling to sit back up, and we will switch the cross of the legs. So sitting up nice and tall here. We'll inhale the arms up, and exhale, easy twist to the right. Left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. Right hand behind. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist it open. Inhale back to center. And exhale, right hand to the outside of the left leg. Left hand behind. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, twist. Drawing that right shoulder back. Keeping a nice wide open chest here. Inhale back to center. And exhale, fold forward again. Getting a little bit of a hip stretch, evening it out with the other leg in front. Maybe tuck your chin and roll the head down, getting a nice stretch to the back of the neck here while we're at it. Begin to awaken to whatever sensations are going on in your body today. Only your body's best expert. Inhale, sitting up. I will take the hands behind us one more time, stretching that chest open. Lifting up long through the torso here. Keep rolling the shoulders back and squeezing the shoulder blades together and down. And then lift the hips up. Pressing into the feet. Drawing in through the belly and opening up through the legs. Exhale, release back down. We'll come into our tabletop pose on hands and knees here. So knees directly under the hips, hands directly under the shoulders. And take a moment to press into the hands and press firmly into the shins and tops of the feet here. So we've got a nice flat upper back here. Our middle fingers are coming directly out from the wrists, pressing firmly into all 10 fingers, but especially through that thumb and first finger, just like in downward dog. So we've got this firm foundation of our hands, spiraling those elbows forward a little bit and the armpits back. So working with that oppositional energy here. Drawing firmly through the belly, making your spine nice and straight. Looking forward, gaze is about 6 to 10 inches in front of the hands. Never treating these simple stability poses as a throwaway, but this is a foundation here. I am rooted and grounded, and from there I move with confidence and grace. Great, so then we'll take our hands forward, keeping our hips right over our knees. Take the hands forward, walk them into our puppy pose. So we're going to walk them far forward. They can be a little wider, the hands, and then just let the heart sink down a little bit. If this is really stressful on the body, you might want to have a block for your forehead, because remember, whenever we support our body with props, we are actually able to gain more flexibility, because those props that support signals to our nervous system that it's safe. So this feels really good to me. My chest is usually really tight, and my shoulders, so having all the extra support is really nourishing for me. Now we're going to just do a little bit of movement here, coming between puppy pose and into Sphinx pose. So go ahead, lower the body down onto the mat, and we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So the elbows are right under the shoulders, forearms parallel with the long edge of the mat, hands splayed out, all 10 fingers pressing firmly into the mat here. So we're going to get really strong here in our Sphinx pose before we move. So imagine that you could draw your elbows back like you could pull the whole mat backwards. And then we're going to roll the shoulders open. And as we pull our elbows back, we're going to press the chest forward, really firmly lifting up through the belly. Toes are pointing straight back. And I'm squeezing my chest forward as I pull my arms back. Crown of the head lifts. I am as solid as the Sphinx. So here I am firm in this pose. Big inhale, and then exhale. We'll press back into our puppy pose. So hips right over the knees, sinking the chest toward the mat, softening through the forehead, inhaling forward into Sphinx pose. So elbows right under the shoulders, pressing into the fingers and pulling the elbows back and heart forward. And exhale into our puppy pose. Drawing into the lower belly, gently spinning the inner thighs back and away toward the wall behind you. One more time. Inhaling forward, elbows down. Hands press into the mat. Roll the shoulder heads back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Elbows back, heart forward. And into our puppy pose. Nice wide fingers. Elbows spinning up, armpits spinning back. Press the hands into the mat and let the heart sink down. And then coming back into our tabletop position. So firm foundation here. We will open up into a kneeling half moon. So kickstand the left foot out a little bit, rolling onto the left hand, and lifting up that right leg parallel with the mat. Strong through my quads, strong through my glutes and hamstrings, foot firmly flexed. So big, open heart. Squeezing the shoulder blades together back behind me. And inhale, lift up onto that knee. Right foot firmly pressed against the ground, toes pointing forward, coming into our gate pose. So leaning the right hand out over the right leg, or I guess your left hand. Making sure that hand is above or below the knee, not on it. And huge side stretch here. So we're getting a nice big stretch all the way down to the hip flexor and the quad, or the side of the leg. Those wonderful abductor muscles. Big inhale and exhaling, come back to center. We'll come back into that half moon pose. So left hand comes down to the mat, right hand up to the sky, leg flexed and out straight. And bending the knee if it feels good. Seeing if you can reach for the foot, coming into our half sugar cane pose here. So reaching for the ankle, firm grasp on it. I'm really pressing up through my hand. My wrist is right under my shoulder. Trying to kick my foot away from my glute, but keep that thigh parallel with the earth. Big stretch to the chest and release it, coming back into our tabletop pose. And then we will walk our hands about a handprint forward, tucking the toes under, spinning the inner thighs back, and pressing the pelvis up and away into our downward dog. So go ahead, first down dog of the practice. Go ahead, pedal the feet out. And then we'll just take a walk through our body with our attention here. So make sure my hands are about shoulder width distance, pressing firmly into the thumb and first finger, pressing away from the mat, spiraling my elbows forward and my armpits back. Gaze is between the knees or feet, long, straight spine, holding in through the belly, pressing my sits bones up and back, spinning the inner thighs back, and pressing down through my heels toward the mat, toes pointing straight ahead, heels straight behind my toes. Breathing up the spine and down the backs of the legs. Beautiful work. So on the inhale, we'll lift the right leg up, Keeping the hips nice and level, foot flexed firmly. Lift that leg up. Keep my shoulders even. And exhale, squeeze that knee into the chest, drawing it forward. And place the foot between the hands at the front of the mat. Lowering the back knee down. You can keep your toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels good. We'll lift up on the inhale into our low lunge. Big inhale here. Shoulders soften away from the ears, so let the hands be wide if they need to. Inhale and exhale, squeeze the arms together, bending the elbows, cactus arms. Elbows scrape the back wall. Inhale back to center. Exhale, we'll take the hands down to the mat and straighten through that front leg, coming into our half Hanumanasana, half splits pose. So nice flat back. If you would like blocks on the sides of your legs, that is awesome. Keep that chest open, shoulders rolling forward or rolling back, and half splits. We'll do that twice more with the breath. So inhale up to low lunge. Exhale, cactus the arms, squeezing the elbows back against the back wall. Inhale up and exhale into half splits pose. One more time, low lunge. Inhale, exhale, scrape the elbows on the wall behind you. Open heart. Inhale back up and exhale, hands down, coming to half splits. Beautiful. Now coming forward back into our low lunge, right knee right over the right ankle. I'm going to take my left hand to the inside of the right foot and pulling back on my right hip, open into a twisted low lunge here. So trying not to let my knee pop out too much. I'm trying to initiate this twist from the spine, squeezing open. And if it feels good, bending that back leg. If it's hard to reach, you can use a strap here, but that might be harder to figure out. So reaching for the back leg, finding a way in, there it is. Getting a nice deep quad stretch here too. If that's not working today, just skip it and stay in the twisted low lunge. Inhale to release and windmill the arms back down. And we'll just come through a quick vinyasa into downward dog. So either plank to chaturanga or lowering the knees, chin and chest, squeezing elbows in, rolling the shoulders back and down, thumbs by low ribs, pressing up into cobra pose or upward dog, thighs and knees off the floor in upward dog, and squeezing back into downward dog. Adjusting here. And then we'll inhale, lifting the left leg up. And exhale, squeeze it into the chest, bringing the foot between the front hands. Either untucking the back toes or leaving them tucked. Left knee right over the left ankle. Inhaling up into our low lunge. Feeling a nice big stretch through the hip flexor here. Inhale. Looking up to the sky, softening the shoulders away from the ears. No extra tension in the neck. And exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, bending at the elbows. Open heart. Inhale, arms back up, and exhale, coming into that half splits, half Hanumanasana. So right hip stays right over the right ankle, bending forward, drawing up through the belly to protect my lower back as I stretch through these hamstrings here. Trying not to collapse anything, but keeping my integrity. I move with confidence and grace. Twice more with the breath here. Big inhale, left knee right over the left ankle. Squeeze that left hip in. Exhale, opening up the elbows, opening up the chest. Inhale, hands back up. And exhale into half splits. Getting our blood moving. Inhale, back into low lunge or low crescent. Exhale, squeezing the shoulders together, opening up the heart. Inhale, arms up, and exhale into our half splits pose. Nice flat back, strong spine. Inhaling back forward, and then we'll take our right hand to the inside of the left foot, squeezing open, pulling that left hip back, and opening up into this little twist here, getting my my back warmed up, my whole spine warmed up, my quads and hamstrings and hip flexors warmed up, and then taking that extra quad stretch if it feels good today. Whew, they are tighter than usual for me. So keep that foot flexed. Try to keep that knee pointing toward the front, left knee pointing toward the front. Open chest, open heart, and release. And coming back into our vinyasa, so chaturanga, plank to chaturanga, or knees, chin, chest. Roll the shoulder heads back, shoulder blades sink down the back body, fingers by the low ribs, pressing up into cobra pose, and exhaling into downward dog. So take a breath here. Notice any difference between the first down dog of the practice and right now. Hamstrings are getting warmed up. We're getting our blood moving. Big inhales and exhales. And then lowering the knees down, we'll come into our child's pose. So knees wide, toes together. You can have your arms forward or back. I'm going to take them forward and get a nice big stretch here through the armpits and chest, softening my forehead down onto the floor or a block. Having this experience and observing it as we go through it. Sometimes I think it's the practice of observation that gives us the most confidence. Just noticing how awesome we are. How awesome everybody is when they are working so hard to do their best. And then we'll come back up into tabletop. And we'll just take one more little chest stretch. So from our strong tabletop, bending the left knee, and we'll reach around for it with the right hand, coming into half bow pose. So squeezing it open, pressing that foot away from the body, and exhale to release. And then same thing here, bending the right knee, firmly flexing the foot and reaching around with the left hand, the ankle or foot. And then once I'm steady, getting my nice steady gaze, my drishti, pressing the foot away from the body, opening up the chest, opening up the quad, the hip flexor, coming back into the balance, and releasing. Beautiful. Walking the hands a little bit forward, we'll come back into a downward dog again. So really press the chest back, open chest, open heart, pressing up through the fingers, lifting the palms away from the mat even. That's how much energy is coming through the hands. We'll lift the left leg this time. On the inhale, keeping the hips even. Lift that foot to the sky, stretching through the right hamstring. Big inhale, and exhale, squeeze the knee into the chest, drawing the foot forward between the hands, spinning the back foot open, and we'll come into warrior one. So heel to heel alignment, bending through the front knee, pressing through the knife edge of the back foot, and trying to move my hips even toward the front of the mat. Big inhale here, and exhale, we'll open up into warrior two. So adjusting the feet, so we're in heel to arch alignment, drawing into the belly, gentle tuck of the pelvis here. Bending deep into the front knee. Fingertips stretch away from each other, shoulders soften away from the ears, head over heart, heart over pelvis. Huge warrior two here. I move with confidence and grace. Big inhale, and then we'll exhale. We'll bring the hands behind us, interlacing the fingers. Stretch open through the chest here. And then exhale, bend over that front knee into humble warrior. Lifting the hands away, stretching open through the chest, really pressing firmly through the knife edge of that back foot and squeezing, spinning that right inner thigh back and away. and pulling that left hip underneath me. Big inhale back to warrior two. Softening everything, soft and strong at the same time. And then inhale, open up the feet and coming into our 5-pointed star. So this is our power pose here. And exhale, squatting down into goddess pose. Bending the elbows, pulling them back. One more time. Inhaling up to 5-pointed star. And then moving the toes in and the heels out. Bending forward, hands at the hips, into our wide-legged forward fold. Soft neck. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the earth. And we'll take the right hand right underneath us. So right underneath your face, it can be on the floor or on a block. And then we're going to spin open to the left. Twisting wide-legged fold. Probably your arms won't come up and down. If they do, be careful that your hips are not moving off to one side. We want to keep our hips nice and even. So this is a spinal twist here, not an inner thigh stretch so much. Inhale back to center. And we'll switch hands. Left hand down underneath the face. Right hand up. Inhaling, twisting. Inhaling, lengthening rather, exhaling, twisting deeper. Making sure we're not popping that left hip underneath us, but squeezing the hips even. You can even take your hand back to the sacrum and feel. Opening up nice and wide and strong and beautiful and confident and graceful. And exhaling back to center. We'll take the hands to the hips and stepping or hopping the feet together. We'll come back to the top of the mat into mountain pose. Big inhale up, toes together, feet apart, inner thighs spiraling back, opening up, exhaling, folding forward, bowing, missing the mosquito. Inhale, halfway lift, squeezing through the belly, fingers to the floor or to shins or to the tops of the thighs. And exhaling, stepping or hopping back into plank, chaturanga, or knees, chin, chest. Lifting up into cobra or upward dog, exhaling into downward dog. Beautiful. Lifting the right leg this time, keeping that foot firmly flexed, lifting up, stretching through the left hamstrings, and exhale, squeeze that knee into the chest, placing it between the hands, spinning the back foot open, heel to heel alignment, or a little wider, lifting up the arms into warrior one. So bending through that front knee as much as possible, but trying to rotate that left hip forward, right hip back, so our hips are even with the front of the mat. And exhale into warrior two. So heel to arch alignment, taking whatever adjustments are necessary. Gentle tuck of the pelvis, knee pointing right out over the toes. And front knee over front ankle. Fingertips extend away from each other. We'll take the hands behind us again, interlacing other finger on top if you can remember. Press the hands down, opening out to the chest, and exhale, bending out over that front knee, front thigh into humble warrior. So really drawing it through the belly, squeezing the inner thigh of the back leg away, in and away. Pressing through the outer edge of the back foot, squeezing through the heel and big toe of the front foot. Big fold here, and inhaling back up to warrior two. Exhale, bending through the knee. Drishti right out over the middle finger of the front hand. And inhaling, turning the toes out, coming into our 5-pointed star. And exhaling, squatting down, pressing the knees out into our goddess squat. Inhaling back into warrior two, or into 5-pointed star, and then turn the toes in, heels out, bending forward into our wide-legged forward fold. This time we will Just bend into the left leg, coming into our Ninja Pose Skandasana, stretching more through the right hamstrings, right inner thigh, and then switching over to the right side, using our hands for support, lifting up the heel as necessary, coming back into wide-legged forward fold, walk the hands over toward the left foot as much as possible, and inhaling back to center, and exhaling, walking the hands over to the right foot. Inhale back to center, and we'll take our hands back to the hips. One bind here in the forward fold, so interlacing the fingers. We'll stretch the hands away from the body, over the head, folding forward as much as feels good. Keep spinning those inner thighs back, pressing to the outside edges of the feet, squeezing energy up from the heels all the way up toward the hips. Hands back to the earth, halfway lift, stepping or hopping the feet back in. We'll come all the way up to stand and coming back to mat pose at the top of the mat. Take a moment to stand here. So big toes together, heels apart, spin the inner thighs back, gentle tuck of the pelvis, head over heart, heart over pelvis, hands open to the sides. Feel as steady as a mountain here. Confidence and grace comes from that steadiness. Beautiful. Arms up on the inhale and exhaling, folding forward, hinging at the hips, strong belly. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or thighs, crown of the head pointing forward. And exhale, back into our plank to chaturanga, or knees, chin, chest, rolling the shoulders away, down the back, thumbs by low ribs and pressing up into cobra or upward dog, and back into downward dog. We're going to move a little bit more here, so get ready. Lifting the right leg up, big inhale, and exhale, draw that knee strongly into the chest, bringing it between the hands, coming up into our high crescent lunge here. So go ahead, bend the back knee for a second, tuck the pelvis under, realign, head over heart, heart over pelvis, and then go ahead and straighten out through that back leg a little bit more. So big inhale, our hip flexors are getting nice and open, quads, hamstrings, chest really open. And this, you might want to strap if you've got some tightness in the shoulders here. So in our crescent lunge, my front knee is right over my front ankle, shoulder softening away from the ears. Big inhale, and then exhale, open up into warrior two. So we're in heel to arch alignment, front knee right over the front ankle and pointing the same direction as my front toes, spiraling this right hip underneath me. And then here, I'm going to take a different variation of my arms. So I'm going to come into cow face arms. So that's taking the right arm up and bending it at the elbow, and then taking the left arm behind me, palm facing behind me, and trying to meet my arms here. So you can either take a strap. If you can't meet your arms, you can just grab onto your shirt and pull away, or take a strap in that top arm and then reach for it with the back arm and then pull away from each other. So we're really squeezing the left shoulder back, pulling the right tricep toward my face and forward, and pulling that elbow up to the sky. So I'm opening up huge through the armpit here. Still keeping my head over my heart, heart over my pelvis. One more full cycle of breath. Inhale. And exhale. And then releasing the arms. We'll rotate forward, turning that back foot forward, coming back into our high crescent lunge. Okay, so here's some big balancing stuff going on here. You're going to inhale and exhale. We're going to step forward We're going to move all of our weight onto our right foot here, our forward foot, and squeeze the left knee into the chest. So squeeze that left knee firmly in, standing up nice and straight and tall, rolling the shoulders back, pinning the right hip in, feeling my foundation, feeling all 10 toes, or all 5 toes rather, squeezing down, my heel is strong. And then I'm going to take my left ankle right on top of my right knee and come into a one-legged chair pose, getting a nice hip stretch here, pigeon chair. So hands to heart or hands above, with the always keeping our shoulders softening away from the ears. So my right knee is not coming forward of my toes, but it's sticking back, really shooting my butt back here. And then if you can, reaching down, either grabbing the foot with the right hand and the knee with the left hand, or trying to get the foot into the elbow. We're going to stand up, squeezing that right hip in, pulling it and pulling it in, straightening out, and then release the leg and squeeze that knee into the chest one more time. Beautiful. Okay, keep balancing. We're going to just keep moving through this. Right leg is burning, and we are just noticing it, observing it, coming out as you need. But if you can, stick with it. We're going to come into warrior 3. So swinging, hinging that left foot back behind us. I'm going to hinge forward at my hip joint, really pressing through the back foot, lifting it up as high as I can, coming into my warrior 3. Arms forward or back behind you, whatever feels good. Back foot firmly flexed, trying to get that back leg parallel with the earth, but keep my hips level and even with the earth. And then opening up the hip, taking my right hand down to the floor or block, opening up into half moon pose. Oh. Okay, so find your focal point, your steady gazing point. Squeeze through the abs, pin through the hips. I am rooted and grounded. I move with confidence and grace. Trying to open up, maybe taking the left hand back to the left hip, if that feels good. And then go ahead and come into our half split. So rotating the hips back even with the earth, hands down to the ground, lift that back leg, and finally release it, shaking out the legs, shaking out the right leg as much as you need. Whew. Oh, good job. Okay, we're gonna inhale, lifting all the way up into mountain pose. Exhale the hands to the heart. And then we've got one more balance pose here. So that right leg is super warmed up. We're gonna come into dancer pose. So if you don't feel like you can reach your knee, you might wanna take a strap with a little knot tied, a little loop at the end of it, and just put this around the left foot here. So we're still balancing on this right leg, drawing up through the quadricep, pulling up on the kneecap, and squeezing this right hip in towards center. I'm going to bend my left knee, trying to keep my left knee pointing straight down to the ground, pulling in. And if you can't reach the foot behind you, just grab the strap, grab anything you can. Lifting the right arm up, keep my body in one nice strong line of energy here. I'm going to gently tilt my arm and my body out just a little bit, preparing for this pose, and then begin to hinge forward, taking the foot away, either using the strap or grabbing the outside of the foot, and then press the heel away from the body, coming into our dancer pose. Gazing out, finding your steady focal point, squeezing that right hip in, pressing through the big toe, the right foot, pressing the foot up a little higher if it feels good, trying to keep my shoulders even. Big, huge glute work here in the left leg. And inhale, standing back, releasing that back foot back, coming into our high crescent. Really rejoicing here in this strength and grace. And then exhale, taking the hands down, coming into our plank pose. and chaturanga, or knees down, chin and chest, squeezing the elbows by the body, rolling the shoulders back, lifting up, strong hands, strong back, cobra or upward dog, and exhaling back in to downward dog. Whew, that is so awesome. My right leg is totally on fire and feels a little rubbery. So now we're going to do it on the second side, so we can feel evenly rubbery and powerful. Inhaling, lifting the left leg, really flexing the foot, drawing into the belly, squeezing that heel up toward the sky, and exhale, draw the knee into the belly, taking the foot between the, the foot between the hands and rising up into our high crescent lunge. Beautiful. So again, we're going to come into that warrior two with our cow-faced arms, opening up through the chest and shoulders to prepare for our dancer. So if you'd like your strap, grab it. So go ahead and tuck the pelvis, bending that back leg a little bit. Left knee is right over the left ankle, pointing straight forward over the toes, bending the back knee, hips even with the front of the mat, and then extending through that back heel, straightening out a little bit. Huge hip flexor stretch here. Head over heart, heart over pelvis, soft shoulders. I move with confidence and grace. Sometimes the less confident I feel, the more I say that, right? Because if I say it enough, it's got to become true, right? Squeezing that left hip underneath me. I'm going to open out, spinning my back heel open, coming into warrior two, heel to arch alignment. So really squeezing this left hip underneath me, spiraling it in, pressing firmly through the knife edge of the back foot. And then coming into that arm variation. So taking my left arm up to the sky and bending at the elbow. And then taking my right arm, facing the palm behind me, bringing the shoulder back and trying to meet my arms or grabbing onto my shirt or the strap and pulling away from each other. So really spiraling my top arm in, facing my tricep toward the front of the room, rolling my right shoulder back and pulling it down away. So I'm less concerned with getting my hands to touch and more concerned with opening my shoulders and stretching out through the shoulder girdle, doing what my body needs to do to feel good and open. Always less concerned about getting into the shape of the pose and more concerned about living in your body. One more big inhale here. And exhale, release the arms. Dropping the strap if you've got it. Inhaling, both toes point out, coming into our 5-pointed star. And exhaling back into warrior two, because that wasn't what we did on the other side. We are going to come all the way forward, standing on this left foot, bringing our right knee into our chest. So gathering up our energy and our confidence and grace, we're going to step forward onto that left front foot and squeeze the right knee into the chest. So pinning this left hip in, standing up nice and straight and tall, pressing firmly through the left heel, rooting down, squeezing this right hip in. Open chest. Whew. Okay, getting our balance here, nice and straight and tall. And then we'll take that right ankle over on top of the left knee and sit back, really, really back, squeezing into the belly here, sticking the butt back, sitting into our pigeon chair. So hands to heart center or up overhead, arms by the ears, whatever feels good to you. Really focus on squeezing that left hip in. We don't want it to pop out here. So if the knee doesn't come down very far, that's okay. We just want a really good hip stretch well. Strengthening. So we're stretching the right hip and strengthening the left hip. All those gluteal muscles and the outer thigh, hamstrings that all work together. So then we are going to, if you can, bend forward. You can either take the left foot with the left hand and the right knee, or try to reach for the elbow and stand up. Trying to keep that chest open. Huge hip stretch here. And then releasing that and squeezing the knee into the chest one more time. Are you ready for the warrior three? Okay, so I'm going to release my knee, but keep balancing on that left foot and hinge forward. Go ahead and take that foot down if you need to. But if you can, keep it up. I'm squeezing up here, so I'm feeling the foundational energy from my left heel all the way up through my whole core, bending forward here, keeping my, keeping the hips level with the earth. So try not to let my right thigh pop open, but bending forward, squeezing that right leg up. Huge glute action, hamstrings, foot flexed, toes pointing toward the earth, arms forward or back, whatever feels good. And then we will rotate open into our half moon. So fingertips on the earth or a block 6 to 10 inches in front of you, and spiral open, lifting that back leg a little higher, I think. Trying to get it parallel with the earth, foot firmly flexed, soft but steady gaze. Really firmly drawing in through the whole abdominal wall here, keeping my core strong, squeezing that left hip underneath me. Maybe lifting up through the arm. I gotta lift up a little bit further through the leg. And then exhale, bring that right hand back down to the earth, evening out the hips again, leveling them out, and then lifting that right leg into our standing split as much as possible. Whew. And exhale, lower the foot, meeting the toes together, big heels slightly apart. Inhale, halfway lift. Crown of the head forward, nice flat back. And exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rising all the way up. Hands meet at the top. Exhale, hands through heart center. Coming into our mountain pose. Taking a second here to regather our energy as we come into that dancer pose on the second side. Big inhale here and root down through that left foot again. Our left leg is so nice and warmed up. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. I'm going to bend my right knee, reaching for outside of the foot, squeezing it in as much as possible, keeping my knee pointing straight down. Lifting the left arm up to the sky, slightly bending forward, taking my hand where I'm going to go, and then hinging forward at the hip. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that left hip in. So pulling it in so it's nice straight underneath you. And then exhale, press the foot away. Press, press, press. Huge, graceful pose. Lots of glute and hamstring action going on here. Trying to keep that right hip facing the front of the mat, nice and even. So even shoulders, even hips. Press the foot away. Huge chest stretch. And inhale, back to center. And coming back into our high lunge pose. So relaxing into this just a little bit. Feeling the strength of what you've done. Rejoicing here. I move with confidence and grace. And then exhale, taking the hands down, coming to your plank pose and chaturanga, or knees down to chin and chest. Rolling back into our cobra pose. Big cobra. Take an extra breath here, hands right under the shoulders. And exhale, back down. We'll come into a little wide arm cobra here to release through the shoulders. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. So taking the hands right underneath the shoulders, and then we'll walk them out a little bit. So they're kind of out right underneath, bending our elbows. Our hands are right underneath the elbows, and we're going to tent the fingers, and then roll the shoulders back, and press all 10 toenails into the floor, gently spiraling up toward the ceiling with the inner thighs, and lifting up into our wide arm cobra. Exhale, bending the right shoulder toward the ground, and take the right cheek to the earth. Nice shoulder stretch here. Inhaling, coming back up, and exhaling, take the left shoulder down and the left cheek down. Inhaling back up and exhaling. Release everything down. Bring your hands together. Place the forehead on the hands. Take a nice breath here to relax. And then we will press back up into Cobra Pose and exhale into our Downward Dog. One last time here. We'll take the right leg up to the sky, and this time open up through the hip, bending the knee, trying to keep the shoulder square to the front of the mat. Keep that heel right back behind the toes of the standing leg, and just lift that knee up toward the sky, maybe rotating the ankle in one direction, the other, opening up through that, then leveling off the hips, and exhale, take that right leg down, and then inhale, lifting the left leg up to the sky, exhaling, bending the knee, opening up through that hip, rotating through the ankle one direction and the other. Keep pressing through the thumb and first finger of the hands, pressing the elbows toward the front of the room and the shoulder blades or the armpits toward the back. Straightening up that hip, leveling it out, and exhale, bring it back down into Downward Dog. One full cycle of breath here, pressing through the hands, lifting up all the way down the spine, nice straight spine, and exhaling it down the legs. And then coming forward, we'll take the knees down to the mat and a well-earned child's pose here. So big inhales and exhales, stretching up to the lower back, stretching up through the shoulder girdle. Breathe and release. Beginning to slow down our practice here. We really got a lot of blood moving and focused so much on our balancing, so we brought our concentration really into center. So having that experience, right? So we are part of it. Balance poses bring us right into the moment. They're a great tool for helping us practice our attention, sharpening our attention, making it stronger. And then with our yoga asana practice, we get to observe what we're doing so carefully. We are present and attentive. We'll take a little tricep stretch here. So bringing the hands together, palms to touch, bending the elbows, and bringing them to the back of the head. You can be all the way back in child's pose or coming up on your knees a little bit, whatever feels good. Just stretch out those triceps a little bit. Lots of cobra poses today. And release it. We'll come to sit, coming into a fire log pose. So if you would like to sit up on a blanket to give your hips a little bit more room, feel free. So in our fire log pose, we're going to take our left shin parallel with the front of the mat, and we're going to stack our right leg on top of that. So right ankle on top of left knee, right knee on top of left ankle. This is a great time to use some props. So I love to have even another blanket underneath my ankle. I like to put a block here underneath my knee for my knee will then feel like it has support to sink down into. If this is still not accessible, you can put your one foot in front of the other and just lean forward as much as feels good. But if you can come into fire log pose, we're going to try to get our sits bones even, move the fleshy part of the glutes away. And sitting up nice and straight and tall. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. Let the hips sink open. So with every inhale, lengthening, every exhale, softening down into this pose. Here we get to let everything release. All of these muscles have worked so hard. And so here we're just taking a total relaxing pose. And if it feels good and your hips could use a little more opening, feel free to take your chest forward, keeping the spine nice and straight. Gently and slowly moving into this. There are so many muscles that work all together in the hip girdle, all over here, all of the glutes, all of the hip flexors, the hamstrings, outer thighs, inner thighs, quadriceps, lower abdominals, lower back. All of this works together. So it's really great to move slowly into these deep, deep hip stretches so that you can sort of feel any subtle differences between sort of one angle and another. So moving in here, paying attention to the sensations. Quieting the mind, quieting the breath, letting it come back into a softer, more even breath. And maybe noticing if you're invited to move a little deeper for these last couple of breaths. If you feel any enormous sensations here, which is really normal in a hip stretch, and you start to get emotional, this is a great time to let those emotions release. And it can also be really helpful to breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So sighing it all out, letting everything go. Letting go any stories that leave you feeling less confident and less graceful. One more full cycle of breath. And then we'll inhale back up to center, taking the hands behind us, releasing the legs, giving them a little shake, bringing the blood back in. And we'll move to the other side. So take that right leg underneath this time. Taking the shin parallel with the front of the mat. And again, just take your time letting it move into where it is today. And then we'll take the left foot, left ankle right above the right knee, left knee above the right ankle, stacking everything nice and evenly here. I'm going to take that block underneath my left knee again. And if I had another towel or washcloth, I would put it underneath my left ankle just to add a layer of softness so that those hard ankle bones aren't pressing into the flesh above my right knee. So sitting up nice and tall, making sure both my sit bones are grounded down. And then as you're ready, if it feels good, just bending forward slightly, slowly, slowly. Hinging forward from the hips, nice straight spine, crown of the head, always pointing up or forward. Noticing as you move here if you are starting to clench through any of these muscles. Sometimes when a muscle is fatigued, it'll start to shake and then try to clench here. So this is when we're really intentionally sending messages of safety and calm to our body here. So props are so helpful in these deep stretches after a lot of hard work. But even if you're not using props today, send messages of gratitude and safety to your body. Unclenching, releasing. As you fold forward a little bit more, make sure that your spine is staying nice and long. Feeling all those deep sensations, release, release, release. Moving through the strata of the body. Exhaling through the mouth with any difficult emotions. Feel free to cry as much as you need to in hip stretches. I have done my fair share of that. Observing this experience with curiosity and attention and tenderness. And one more full cycle of breath. And then we will walk ourselves up on an inhale and release the legs. Slowly and with care. And then go ahead, shake them out a little bit, and we'll come into our Dandasana, our seated staff pose. So again, sitting up nice and tall. My knees and toes are pointed straight up to the sky. Head over heart over pelvis. So I'm making sure that my sits bones are even and grounded down. Shoulder blades squeezing together, shoulder heads rolling back. And then just release the hands to the floor. Maybe touching the floor with your palms, maybe on blocks. But really strong here through the back and belly, all up and down the spine. Pulling up on the kneecaps here, strong legs. This will be our last pose where we use muscular energy. Well, more or less. Big inhale, opening up the chest, and exhale, softening. Everything will come into just a really easy twist here. So inhaling the arms up, exhaling, twisting over to the right, keeping the legs as they are. Inhale, sitting up. Exhale, twisting deeper in, looking out over that right shoulder. Pulling the left shoulder back. So making sure I'm keeping that open chest, open heart. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, hands to the ground. Gathering ourselves again. Inhaling, arms up. And exhale, twisting off to the left. Right hand to the outside of the left thigh. Left hand behind. Pulling the right shoulder back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twisting deeper, squeezing, rotating. Feeling all the muscles that have worked really hard today. Honoring them. Honoring your body and your work. Inhaling, sitting up nice and tall. Exhaling, twisting a little deeper. And inhaling back to center. And we will fold over those nice straight legs, reaching anywhere along the legs, bending the knees as much as necessary to keep a nice straight spine, flat back. And go ahead, release the head, rounding slightly through the upper back here. This is a big release at the end, honoring the hard work we've done. Inhale, sitting back up. And exhale, we'll draw the soles of the feet together, bringing the feet in nice and close as is comfortable. We'll hold on to the ankles and sit up nice and tall, and then exhale, hinging forward at the hips, fold forward. Big stretch of the inner thighs, maybe pressing the elbows into the legs, pressing them away. Big inner thigh stretch here, just for a couple of breaths. Feel the hip flexor stretching out, the inner thighs. And then sitting up again on the inhale, we'll just take the feet away from us. So we've got a much larger butterfly here, a nice wide square butterfly. And this time, go ahead and round out over the feet. Taking the forehead to the toes if that reaches. If not, Feel free to prop up blocks here however much you need to try to relax the head down. And we'll just fold forward, really this time rounding through the back, letting everything go and be nice and soft. I move with confidence and grace. Inhaling back up to center. We'll take the legs wide just for a second, just for one little wide-legged forward fold here on the mat. So toes and knees point up, but don't worry about having a lot of tension in the legs. Just keep them generally pointed up and hinge forward, stretching out one more time through the inner thighs. I don't know about you, but mine feel like they're going to be pretty sore tomorrow, so I'm just giving them a little bit of extra love. And take any movement that feels good to you. So rotating off to one side or the other, twisting open, just really taking anything you need to get ready to totally relax and release into Shavasana here. And then using the hands to bring the legs back to center, moving any props away. I'm actually going to use this underneath my neck today. So coming into seated, we'll ever so slowly lower ourselves down onto our back, keeping the knees bent and feet on the earth. And we'll just windshield wiper our legs left to right. So feet as wide as the mat, and then just rocking the knees off to one side and the other. You can have your arms down by the sides or cactus, out in a T, whatever feels really good to you. So beginning to come into that T in that hot method of mindfulness. So we've been having this experience and observing what's going on as we have that experience, and now we're going to take it all in. So slowing the knees down, bring them back to center, and then we'll lengthen the tailbone out toward the edge of the mat. Go ahead and support the neck or head as much as feels good, extending the legs long, propping up the knees if that feels good, letting the feet flop open, shoulders roll back, hands, palms facing up, just away from the sides. Go ahead, take one more really deep breath, filling up through the body. And exhale it all through the mouth, sighing it out, coming into natural breath, taking in everything you've done, feeling strong, feeling rooted and grounded and confident and graceful. In everything I do, I move with confidence and grace. And now, Shavasana. Keeping the eyes closed, begin to deepen the breath, bringing your awareness back into the body, wiggling the fingers and toes and the wrists and ankles, stretching the arms overhead, and slowly bending the knees, rolling off to one side and pausing. Take a moment to acknowledge the hard work you've done already today and all the good things you will do for the rest of the day. Showing compassion and gratitude towards yourself. And we'll press up to seated, slowly and carefully, coming into any seated position that feels comfortable and good. Taking in all of the goodness of the practice, all of the challenge of the practice, all that there is to learn, so we can keep growing and becoming better and kinder. Bring the hands together at the heart center. Thank you so much for joining me today. I honor your confidence and your grace. Today, may you feel loved and loving, and may you be radiant. Namaste.